Hello Internet, my name is Lave and I watched Wonder Woman! So Wonder Woman is directed by Patty Jenkins, who has directed before. She directed Monster, which I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen, but I do remember there being Oscar buzz around that film when it was released, so we know she can direct, but whew, the pressure she must have been under. Not only does she have to bring the iconic superhero Wonder Woman to the big screen for her first feature-length solo film, but she's also got to sort out the DC cinematic universe. It's got to be good, this one, right? And it is. It's good. Yeah! So Wonder Woman is her origin story, and after a nod to her cameo in BVS, we actually see her growing up in Amazon. She's being trained by all of the Amazonian women to be their greatest warrior, when one day the outside world stumbles upon their island and they find out that the world is in the midst of World War I. Horrified by the stories told by Steve Trevor, an American spy who crash lands on the island, Diana becomes determined to leave her paradise and get involved and join the fight. Any remaining doubts surrounding Gal Gadot's casting as Wonder Woman are firmly put to bed. We did see her in Batman v Superman in a cameo where she's established and become acclimatized to the modern world. We saw in that she could handle the physical side of the role, but there were still doubts whether she could carry a solo film, and she absolutely does. In this one, she's playing a much more naive and sheltered Diana, but she's inherently optimistic and good-willed, and it's infectious. She is absolutely wonderful. In many ways, she represents everything that I wanted Superman to represent in this DC cinematic universe. It's very, very reminiscent of Superman 1979, directed by Richard Donner and starring Christopher Reeves, and I absolutely loved it, particularly the scene in the alleyway, which is a role reversal scenario. I absolutely loved it. But it's not just her origins which are explored in this film. We also get to see how the Amazons came to be and what their purpose is, in admittedly a very expositional way, but I really like the way they presented it. So it's Diana's mother telling the young Diana bedtime stories, and then it goes into like a Renaissance painting where you see Zeus on Mount Olympus. It's fantastic. I really liked Greek mythology at school, and I really liked how it was presented in this, and then it transitions into a World War I drama. This film is mixing quite a lot of elements. It's got the Greek mythology side. It is a good World War I drama, which has got bits of romance in it and kick-ass superhero action, and it handles all of those topics really well. And it's at those points that I was enjoying the film the most. Diana's all like, to the war, and then, oh, a baby, oh, ice cream, it's magical, and it is magical. Everyone she meets are just like, I love her. I particularly liked Lucy Davis as Chris Pine's secretary in it. She is obviously the comedic relief, but they don't overdo it, and she even shoots a David Brent look at one point, which made me laugh because she was Dawn in the English The Office. And it's at this point when the film is pressing the feminist message, but it didn't put me off at all. It's very much commentating on the thoughts on women at that time, but it isn't exclusive to that. It also touches on racism and post-traumatic stress, and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is horrified by it all. These serious themes are balanced out by some well-judged humour, which I think is a welcome addition to the DC cinematic universe. Surprisingly, Chris Pine is funny and serious in his role. I really liked the scenes where he gets caught up in the lasso of truth. I thought they were great. And the chemistry between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is believable and feels natural. And I really liked the team that assembles around them. They're all very likeable. In terms of negatives, now I do have a few which is preventing me from saying that this is an amazing superhero film. Firstly, there are some really dodgy green screen moments, particularly at the beginning of the film, which made me think, oh shit. And on top of that, there's some really obvious CGI moments. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's very obvious, which is really surprising considering that this is a tentpole summer blockbuster. And a lot of people have picked up on the overuse of slow-mo. Now, slow-mo isn't out of place in a superhero film for me. If anything, that's when it's at its most justified, but they do overuse it. And then you have got a really weak villain. Now, there are a few villains in this, but one in particular I thought was really weak, and that is Danny Huston's German Nazi leader. He's essentially playing William Stryker, but German in this. I didn't like him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I didn't like him in this. And then you've got Dr. Poison, who's played by this lady. I wouldn't say that she's underdeveloped, I just didn't see enough of her. There is a really cool scene when Chris Pine's character is appealing to her vanities, trying to find out what her overall plan is, and he talks about fire and entropy. I really liked that scene. I just wanted more of her in it. There is another villain lurking around in the background, literally pulling all of the strings. I don't want to say who it is for spoilers. It does go a bit CG heavy in the end, but overall I liked it. And while I'm talking about negatives, I'm going to get really super nitpicky here, but this happens in a lot of films where the German soldiers are speaking English. I would have preferred it if they actually spoke German with subtitles, particularly as there is a scene where Wonder Woman is speaking multiple languages, so why aren't the Germans speaking German as well? It would have made it more realistic for me and believable. But really, all of those negatives are heavily outweighed by the charm and the heart of this film. It feels like a genuinely optimistic, good superhero film. I already mentioned Superman 1979, Richard Donner's one, was so influential for me. I love that film and it made me feel like that. I genuinely hope that kids today, boys and girls, watch this and remember it as fondly as I remember the Christopher Reeve Superman, and it feels like that. So that's my thoughts on Wonder Woman, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. As I say, it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it is good. It's sort of the same good as Captain America the First Avenger and Thor. It's just a solid origin story which knows its characters inside and out, which are extremely likable, and it leaves you wanting more. I'm really excited for the next step. I walked out the cinema smiling and just wondering why DC didn't just start with the origin stories and then gradually build up to the Justice League. Why? So thanks very much for watching my review of Wonder Woman. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the lave. Wonder Woman! Woo!